Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price this Wednesday, as we have a very clear path for Bitcoin that we're going to discuss today. And we're also going to talk about the risks that are in altcoins right now. A lot of analysts that I'm seeing online are saying that Bitcoin dominance may see an aggressive move to the upside, which would pose a major risk to altcoins. We're going to discuss that today since this is a four-dimensional channel. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support these four-dimensional updates. Bitcoin, bullish divergence right now on the 4-hour chart. Are we going to be seeing follow through to get above the weekly open, get back above 40,000 US dollars? Well, let's talk about that, snipers, because there's a very clear path for Bitcoin right now. As long as we stay above 38,000 US dollars, we do not have to expect 36,500 or 34,788. And the first confirmation that we're going to be seeing a test above 40,000, potentially to 42,000, which is our current range resistance, is getting above 39,500. Where we have our weekly open right now. And so that would be the first confirmation and earliest confirmation that we're going to see 42,000 get tested. But we have to start addressing what's potentially on the table for the downside, with the VIX extremely bullish right now, indicating a lot of volatility towards the last 2 days of this week. Tomorrow, I believe the big tech companies like Alphabet, Google, Facebook, all of these FANG companies are going to be reporting earnings after market close on Thursday. I know Alphabet and Google are the same company. Just wanted to mention Google because some people don't know what Alphabet is, but they're reporting earnings tomorrow. And so market close, we're going to expect their earnings. So far, we've seen many companies this week drop after reporting earnings. And so when these big companies like Apple and these FANG stocks report earnings, it has a bigger effect on the major indices. And so we're going to expect a lot of volatility tomorrow. The S&P 500 did close with a slightly bearish candle today. You can see there was a wick. It couldn't even test the weekly open. And by the way, for those in the comments saying, oh, Bitcoin is not stronger than equity markets right now, it clearly is. Look, S&P 500 could not even test its weekly open, and Bitcoin has already come up to test its weekly open. Bitcoin has been the stronger asset over the last 4 months, starting with January of 2022, all the way until now. It has been a lot stronger than the S&P 500. We cannot make the assumption that it is in a weaker trend than the equity markets. Anytime we see green days in the equity markets, we can expect Bitcoin to outperform the equity markets. So I want to be clear with that. Now, do we have a downside scenario potentially on the table with S&P 500 closing with a bearish candle? Certainly. But I've also seen a lot of analysts acting as if they are now four-dimensional analysts. We've been four-dimensional analysts for the last 5 years, every single day covering Bitcoin. But some people are saying, oh, the NASDAQ forming a lower low means that it's justifying Bitcoin forming a lower low. Well, the NASDAQ already formed a lower low, and here's another clear depiction of how Bitcoin is stronger than equity markets right now, because Bitcoin has yet to form a lower low. I would not be worried about Bitcoin forming a lower low just because the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ form a lower low, because from current price action down to the most major support level at 35,000, it's over 10% of a gap. So we have a lot of room for Bitcoin to flirt inside of this range here. If we break below 38,000, if we see downside in equity markets with these major companies reporting earnings tomorrow, then 36,500 would be the next destination below 38,000, and then 34,788 below that. If we're going to be seeing Bitcoin move down to no man's land below 35,000, I would expect Bitcoin to form a bearish flag at 35,000 before making that move. I do not expect a capitulation scenario down below 30,000 at this point, especially because Bitcoin is continuing to leave exchanges. And so we still have these four bearish puzzle pieces on the table. Everyone's talking about the DXY now. We've been monitoring the DXY every day for the last 5 years because we're a four-dimensional channel, but we also know that it is approaching resistance. But guess what? Today we breached the highs from 2020. For those that have been tuned in to the #1 cryptocurrency technical analysis channel on the internet, which is this channel that you're watching right now, we were the first ones to predict that was going to happen because we had a four-dimensional revolving part, the Euro to USD chart, give us an early indication that we are most likely going to breach the 2020 highs for the DXY, being inversely correlated. We breached this major support. That happened first. It was our early indicator, and now the DXY is moving up. We don't know what the target is. All we know is the DXY is in a strong uptrend right now. The VIX is high, meaning volatility is most likely on the table. And so These are still 4 bearish puzzle pieces on the table. But just remember this, snipers. The S&P 500 has never tested the 100-week moving average since recovering from the March of 2020 lows. And so the 100-week moving average is right below where current price action is. There is a floor there for the S&P 500 to not see a major downside scenario, and that would help Bitcoin not breach back below 35,000, because we know the 100-week moving average is most likely going to at least act as short-term support for the S&P 500 before we can evaluate whether there's going to be a real rescue operation to see new highs for the equity markets, or if we have a cup of coffee here and then see another push to the downside. That would be another story. Another video would cover that. But for now, let's look at what's happening in the immediate short to medium term. So very clear, snipers. We're playing inside of a range with a support of 38,000, a resistance of 42,000. And by the way, look at this. Bitcoin has also not tested the 100-week moving average, and it's above 35,000. So the S&P 500 can form a lower low, but Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have to do that. It could also test its 100-week moving average and not form a lower low, even though the S&P 500 does. The NASDAQ already did. Now, people are saying, and I've seen this online already, that Bitcoin dominance may see a aggressive move to the upside because apparently it's ready to do that. And so right now, there's nothing to be concerned of, but if there is a potential that the Bitcoin dominance is going to move up with decisiveness, that could happen in 2 different ways. Number one, it's because the overall market is selling off, or number 2, because Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins. What will most likely happen if Bitcoin dominance does break to the upside right now, after we've already seen this cycle, is the first one, which is the overall market coming down. And so people are worried, saying that if Bitcoin does form a lower low, what's going to happen to altcoins? Like in June of 2018, when Bitcoin broke its higher low, altcoins dumped. Bitcoin dominance shot up. Is that on the table? It's certainly something on the table, but here's how we're going to know whether that's going to happen or not. And this is our first confirmation. I really want to stress this, snipers, because we're the #1 4-dimensional channel on the internet. So I want to make sure I give you guys the most earliest confirmations of these 4-dimensional revolving parts that are now in the spotlight, but people will never put this on the spotlight when there's not a major obvious move, but we cover it every single day. And so here's what I'll tell you. If the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart breaches below 72,000 Satoshis, this monthly open, it is breaking back inside of the symmetrical triangle, showing weakness back below the monthly open. That would be our first indicator that it may be time to move altcoins into Bitcoin in expectation of a potential downside scenario that could bleed out altcoins even more than they've already bled out. And so Bitcoin would be the hedge there. It is the digital version of gold for a reason. And so we want to monitor the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. Because we're talking so much about the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, I'm not going to talk about the Ethereum to US dollar price, as it certainly is very correlated to Bitcoin. But the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is going to be the first sign that we get a confirmation that there is that potential of a lot of risk with altcoins. So it hasn't happened yet. We can't make that confirmation, but since the rumors are starting to spread, I just wanted to cover exactly what we're going to be monitoring here on the Snipers channel. With that, thank you all for tuning into the channel today. Let's see what happens. Bitcoin, 38,000, 42,000. That's the range that we're in. If we break 38,000, then we could test the 100-week moving average, while the S&P 500 also tests its 100-week moving average. The S&P 500 can form a lower low. Bitcoin doesn't have to, because the 100-week moving average is above 35,000. Once again, Bitcoin, the stronger asset since the start of this year. We cannot deny that based on the black and white charts that give us the answers every single day here on the Snipers channel. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, snipers, and I will see you all next time. Snipers,